A warm good evening to everyone. I, Sri Sivaprakash, Head of the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Sri Sairam College of Engineering. I welcome you all for this international webinar on study in UK. So we are organizing this program in association with the ScotsGrad. ScotsGrad is a unique consultancy service which provides end-to-end advisory services for Indian students looking at the UK as a destiny to study. It is successfully promoting the universities class among Indian students and now extended services to include all universities in UK. Today's we have three speakers. So today I'm going to introduce about Richard. Richard Kemp is a world-class entrepreneurship development expert who has worked on leadership development, innovation, and capacity building programs with organizations as diverse at the Diwan of Royal Co. Henley Business School, the Open University, Greenpeace, and Transparency International, so FT Knowledge and many other multinational and SME organizations. And we have two more speakers today. Another one is going to be called Karthik. So Kadir is qualified as an MBA graduate from ScotsGrad Business School, UK, and computer science engineer from Anna University, Chennai. He is also an expert in technical analyst of finance markets. He is also the co-founder of two startups, Radiant Vista Malaysia and ScotsGrad UK-based management counseling. And we have one more speaker, Nitin. Nitin qualified as an accountant, obtained a postgraduate diploma in business for Lancaster University and an MBA from University of ScotsGrad in Glasgow. He is also a certified trainer by USA Leadership 101. And today we have panel members. Our beloved principal, Dr. B. Sadaksharappa, is principal in Sri Sairam College of Engineering, Bangalore, India. And one more panel member, Dr. Prabhakar, professor in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. And I welcome you all for this international webinar, Studying in UK. So today the eminent speakers, they are going to discuss and they're going to give some guidance for you people, for the students' fraternity to have a better growth and better career in their future. So with this introduction, I request the resource person to take over the stage and they can start the program. Over to Richard Kemp. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm actually going to ask Niti to be our MC for this section of the program, because that way he can ask questions that are going to be helpful to the participants. So Niti, I invite you to do your thing.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you so much, Richard. Is my voice getting clear? Is there no break? I hope it's all working fine.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Dear students, thank you for your time this evening, for you to be around with us to have a conversation. And it's basically an informal session that we're having today, and we can call it informal because we don't have a formal PPT to start with Richard. And the best we thought is for Richard to have a conversation with us, and we'll have a few questions. And post that, we can, of course, tell who we are in terms of as an organization, as ScotsGrad, and how do we support and what's our UK company doing. We'll get to that bit of it in the second part. But the first part is primarily focused towards a couple of questions which we thought having Richard on board today would be a very good idea. So there are some direct questions for you, really, Richard. So some could be perhaps your own experiences, someone probably your own perceptions and your beliefs, and you can share them as freely as you like. The first question I have for you is, you know, students always look at it as wanting to do an education some point in time overseas, right? And there's always an interest, there's a passion, they want to leave, they want to actually have an experience overseas. And you are a graduate of both the US and the UK. And I think that's a very interesting part of it here. And I thought maybe you should ask you about what your experiences are of both of those.
So I think you've got two really different systems. The UK is a very nationally, it's a system where you've got a quality assurance, a national quality assurance. That means the universities are kind of grouped together, and they provide a very consistent level of education, a very consistent experience. In the States, the States is an enormous market. You've got thousands of institutions, so the spread, if you like, is much greater. There's a great deal less consistency. I would say that if you're thinking about the level, if you come in at the undergraduate level in the UK, you're going to be immediately working at a higher level than if you start in the States. The US education system is lower than the UK education system. So US universities at the undergraduate level have about a year, if you like, where they're bringing students up to the standard that they would enter the UK university system. So in terms of undergraduate, if you want something which is going to give you, is going to stretch you, is going to equip you for a career future, I think you're probably better off going into the UK system. Obviously, the top tier of the American system is amazing, but that's the very top tier. It's a very small number of a very big marketplace, if you like. In the UK, there are 100 and something universities, but they are all giving this very consistent experience. And the aim in the UK is that one degree from a UK university should pretty much tell an employer sorry, that you are equipped to deliver, you're equipped to think, you have, if you like, career value. At the postgraduate level, I think things are a little bit closer. What I would say is that probably in the UK, there is more flexibility. It seems odd because we associate the US with this idea of flexibility, but actually American bureaucracy is incredibly inflexible. So if you want to be able to really focus your postgraduate studies on areas that are going to be of particular interest to you, to align again those to a career pathway, I think you'll get more support from a UK university. They will be more helpful in making that happen than in the US. In the US, the system is the system, and they won't really flex it for anyone. In the UK, the view is the student is at the center of the learning. We should do everything we can to support the student, and therefore there's a lot more flexibility built in.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Richard. There's another component, which is about a 1-year master's and a 2-year master's. And I think this is a very interesting component, because we've had interactions with students, and many of them sort of in a way believe that a 2-year program is ideal, it's greater, it's better, and a 1-year program isn't. So what's your view on that?
I personally think that one should always be aiming to get into work and to use your skills to, if you like, create wealth for the economy as well as for yourself. So I would always say, if you can do something in a year, then that's probably a better way of going about things. I think that there is an advantage in terms of the cost and return on investment. I think there is something in terms of also, again, being able to say to future employers, I can handle a workload, I can manage my time, I can manage pressure. So there's a whole raft of hidden benefits, if you like, that if you understand them, you can position yourself in the corporate world as someone of high value. So I think that I personally would recommend always look to a 1-year program because all of those benefits are obviously the quicker you get into the workplace, the quicker you're using what you've just learned to immediate advantage.
Right. And I also believe, I suppose, things are moving far too fast these days, and perhaps.
Yes. I mean, if you're on a 2-year program, what you study in the first year in some domains will already be obsolete by the time you finish the degree. So you have to be aware of that. And the cutting edge of where things are happening, they're all happening in the workplace, in the corporate environment, in the business environment. Universities are obviously a part of the research of that. They're part of the infrastructure. But the best place for you to be, if you like, a domain expert, is to be on the cutting edge of your domain in an organization that is focused on what matters to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much on that one, Richard. So there's the other question that I've got is on the aspect of the methodology of UK education system. Now, your experience is not just as a graduate. Your experience stems from a number of collaborations that you have done for UK universities overseas. So you've worked on the academic framing and methodology creations and also collaboration. So you have been not just as a student, but also as a person who has put this together. So what do you see the value of the UK education methodology in terms of how different they are?
I would say I've also taught in the US system. So I'm aware of both. Again, what I would say is that the UK is focused on really getting you to think. What you're going to be assessed on is evidence that you are using a thinking process as opposed to a right answer. And I think a lot of students struggle with this, and also with academic writing, because it's doing something different from, if you like, the school system. It's not saying show us a right answer. It's saying show us the process that you've gone through to reach the conclusion that you've reached. The emphasis is on original thinking in that process. We really want to see that you're capable of thinking things through ground up, if you like. And again, I'm thinking about the employment aspect of this. The more you can prove that you can think originally, innovatively, the more value you have to an employer, because the reason you're employed is to solve problems. As AI comes in, AI will do the logic process. Your role will be to really think through complex situations and come up with answers that aren't logic bound. They're bound by ways of associating values, associating systems, associating emotions, associating stakeholders. So you need to be able to demonstrate that you can think, you can evidence the way that you think, and you can make something work because you've really thought it through. You understand what it is that you've done, and you're aware of gaps. You may not be aware of gaps in, if you like, in your own thinking, but the academic process is one that is constantly saying, think about this, that you might need more rigor here. So you're being encouraged to think holistically, rigorously, in a solutions oriented way. And you have to write well for that. You have to be able to write, you have to be able to put your thoughts onto paper, and you also have to be able to present. So the UK system in particular says you need to have these communication skills, not just for an academic audience, but because these, if that answers your question.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. So, and actually, in a way, you kind of answered to the next part, which I wanted to ask about the preparation for an academic study in the UK, particularly those undergraduate students who are graduating. Is that's a big step. How is it that they can prepare themselves? Because they certainly are not deciding this in a month. They've got at least about a year when their thinking process goes on. Is there something they can possibly do to get
So
them?
I think this academic writing is crucial. So I think you have to really prepare for that, and that is actual practice. You have to write. You have to understand the difference between what a UK or a US university will consider good academic writing, a way of evidencing your thinking, compared to, if you like, essay writing at school level. I think you need to hone your expertise in the domain arena. So there may be specialist terms and so on. Make yourself familiar with that. I think really use the time to prepare so that you're going into the UK or into the US or wherever, ready to make the most of the experience. You have to kind of plan your time. I would recommend that you don't aim to work, but you aim to study and get the most out of, if you like, your academic experience, because time is precious. It flies by very quickly. I have 4 children who've either in university or just come out of university, and they tell me that, you know, the demand on their time is enormous. You get a lot of work, there's a lot of pressure to deliver, so you need to really start being able to prioritize, being able to work to deadlines, and also, I think, understand how to ask for help. That may be something that British and American students are more used to than people from India. But if you have a problem, you need to be able to turn to the people around you who are there to help you. And so I would say use the application process as a way of making sure that you know how to do that. Because obviously the application process is also demanding. So if you get used to saying, where are the resources, who are the people who can help me, you're going to equip yourself to be successful in the degree program, because asking for help, getting support is very much a part of what you need to do.
Brilliant, fantastic. And it's, in fact, I've got very interesting experiences about the taking the help of universities, particularly during this particular year of the COVID-19, which is in place. I remember my son, who's doing an undergraduate degree, says that he gets calls every now and then from support people from the university asking about his mental state of mind and how he's coping with the stress. And I think that's quite amazing, because they do take a really good step around that, which is quite excellent indeed.
Yes, I think the universities are, again, I'll focus on the UK because it really is built into the learning proposition. The idea is that the student is at the heart of the learning, and that the university has a duty of care to make sure that the student is mentally resilient, mentally able to cope with the demands that are being asked of him or her. So they take that very seriously. And in times of crisis, they will do their best to make sure that everyone is, if you like, in a good place. There's a lot of, again, I'm going to use the word support, in terms of just making sure that you understand what is being asked of you, you know how to deliver that, and if you're having any difficulty, there is kind of support to make sure that you learn how to respond and come through that difficulty. And again, I'm going to just be clear, all of that is valuable in terms of starting employment, because if you understand what you've gone through, you can say to an employer, I am resilient. I am good at asking for resources. I am good at understanding when times are tough. And I've got some strategies to cope with that because my education has given me those.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Richard. Now, there's a slightly different question in this one. There is a reintroduction of post-study work visa, which the UK government has announced, which has come back after several years. And in your view, you know, what is you think the value that it's going to come out of for students who are going?
I think the value is obviously that you have the right to work in the UK, no longer in the EU because the UK has left the EU. But it means that you are able to access the UK work environment. I think that that is good in terms of a career start because there are obviously world-class firms, world-class SMEs and so on. So starting your career in the UK can be of benefit in terms of entry to the global economy. Having a UK degree is valuable in terms of entering the global economy. So, like you said, I really don't want to work in the UK. I want to work somewhere else in the global economy. Your UK degree is a good passport to those opportunities. But obviously, if you've got the right to work in the UK, it makes sense to use the resources of the universities, because they will have career advice centres. They will have people whose job it is to help you get into work. So I would say really use that well, because the place you're most likely to get a job, if you do use that well, is the UK.
Brilliant, fantastic. Richard, so 2021 has got two things happening, really. In a sense, UK is out of the EU, and we're also talking about the post-study work visa coming into place in that particular year as well. So there are two things happening on that particular year. And how do you think it is going to play out in terms of for students who are going into it?
I think in 2021, it's going to be a very interesting year, because we've also got the post-COVID situation. So I think UK employers are likely to have fewer EU applicants for jobs, because that has also stopped this free movement of people. So I think that there is going to be, if you like, a premium on overseas students who have the right qualifications, because UK employers are really aware of the value of diversity. They've had years where they've had applicants. The UK has been if you think about it in terms of business, has been a major beneficiary of a very diverse workforce coming from the EU. That is now going to decline, and I think a lot of employers are going to say, we want to encourage diversity, therefore we're going to be very interested in overseas students who have the right to work in the UK. I think that's how it's going to play out. And obviously, just to finish that thought, at some point, employers in the EU will be interested in people that have a career start and these qualifications, because English is if you like, it's the business language. So if you've got the right kind of starting point, you're going to be of interest to employers in the EU, in the US, in the Gulf, in Southeast Asia. You're not going to be confined in one national employment marketplace.
Right, brilliant, fantastic. Well, I think that's sort of what I really wanted to ask. Kadir, do you want to add anything else as a question for Richard, or any members of the panelists would like to pose a question? Perfectly fine. I think I've perhaps taken a lot of the air times.
So Richard has covered almost everything, I guess, and your questions gave good amount of insights for students. I mean, to understand the difference between UK and US education system and the need for one-year program. I mean, as an engineer, I mean, I also understand and that you need to get hands-on with the industry. And if you look at the UK engineering programs, most of the programs are 3-year programs. And I'm sure within 10 years in India, you will see 4-year engineering programs getting replaced by 3-year engineering programs. I mean, initially, when my dad is also an engineer, when he studied in 1976, 70s, it was 5 years. So from 5, it became 4. And,
yes, the one thing we don't have is time.
Yes, from 4, it is going to become 3. So, but UK is well ahead of India, and we always follow the British education system. I mean, the reason is, of course, we have a lot of strong connects with UK. Yeah, so we've been a British colony as well. So that's the reason we are more synchronized towards a British education system, and that's what Richard has also emphasized. Why it's a natural fit for the Indians to get accustomed to the UK education system. Well, moving on, there's a small presentation for 10 minutes before moving on to the Q&A section. We believe in a lot of interaction with the students, and as your HOD pointed out, ScotsGrad is a company which is run by UK alumni, and we are very passionate about UK education, and we are all big beneficiaries of UK education. And let's move on to this small presentation,
and we will, of course, have Richard still with us. And I think towards after our 10 minutes or so, we can leave it to the floor for asking any questions.
Yes, I'm available to answer any questions, whatever. Absolutely.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can, but it's not pretty much like a view screen. It's not in a presentation mode, I think. Yeah, that's like it. Yes, brilliant. You can just move on to the next slide.
Yes.
Right, okay. Right, fantastic. And for those who have actually been in our previous webinars from the college, could have perhaps seen this slide before. We have indeed presented about what we do, how different we are, and in what way we make an impact with students in terms of communication. And this is going to be a repeat for those of you who have heard it before, and for those who have not, you're probably going to hear this for the first time. So the focus here is what ScotsGrad does is primarily we work on what we specifically say as a mentored academic progression. And what we really mean by that is we have a lot of dialogue with you with regard to not just about what you wish to study, but it's also about why. The why for us is equally important as much as the what. And the reason for that is because we don't want decision makings done by students in a haste, in a quick manner, by Googling, checking across, sounds interesting, let me go for this master's. Or my friend tells me this is fantastic, so I'm going to go and do it. And I think these are things that we are hearing again and again and again. And that's the reason why we go through a dialogue. We want to be sure that the student really wants to do what he or she wants to do. So this is the reason why we have a few conversations. And perhaps I think proud to say that we are probably the only one with subject matter expert counseling. So in the first circle of the academic tower, you could see an SME counseling. And what we mean by that is we've got at least about 30 mentors in different fields. Today's presentation is not specific to any particular area of specialization. So we're speaking more generically about Study UK. But for those of you who are interested in a specific area, whether it's in engineering or whether it's got to do with pharmacy or whatever it may be, we end up having a conversation between you and the subject matter experts, and you can actually have a dialogue. And that's exactly how we go about, because every single course has got a different selection of modules. So certain university courses might fit you more than the others. So that's the reason why the dialogue is very, very critical. Now, over and above that, admission and travel is a procedure that, of course, is not unique to us. Almost everybody in this particular field is doing that. But you don't yet travel to the UK, because on the right-hand side, you can see Career Tower in the first circle. There are 3 key components that we actually cover for students who are bound to the UK. The one area is on academic writing. Now, we do this significantly in a couple of months before leaving, and the reason is because we'd like you to do certain online courses. We also run a session or 2 on that and tell you why this is important and what do you really need to learn on that. So there are components which the UK has got an expectations on. It's always worthwhile moving and doing some courses related to that. The second one mentions about pre-reading, a core module learning, so it says. So what it really means here is that when you're in a dialogue with a subject matter expert counselor, there could be a discovery that you could make that you need to work on a certain area of subject that you need to work on a bit more before you actually arrive in the UK. Now we're back again to the story that the Masters in the UK is only a 1-year program. So there might be areas in which that you could certainly, I would say, like pull up your socks on areas that you think you need to strengthen up a bit and then kind of move on. So that's what we mean by core module learning. And usually students have at least about 8 months to a year for this. So therefore there is no excuse in not learning a couple of things before, and we strongly recommend it. I'm also kind of in a way proud to say that we are in fact the only organization that provides a psychometric profiling of all our students bound for the UK. There's really nobody who does this, and we are offering a UK-based product which comes on its own for close to about £100 worth, and this is for all those who are bound for UK and who have taken their visas. And by the way, none of our counseling has got any charges. We don't charge any student any fee at all, and this is exactly how we provide it. Now, what happens in Luminous Spark, if you're curious about what it is, visit ScotsGrad.com and you would be able to download a report of the psychometric report. It comes out with a 40-page report. It really tells you who you are as an individual. So it's pretty much like an astrology on paper. So, you answer those questions and then you kind of get a picture of who you are. It's a very interesting tool because you would get to know your personalities well. You will be able to see how people can be different from you and how you are different from others. And also how you will work on things will depend also on your personality. There are some courses which require a certain kind of a personality which you might want to work on a bit and then look into those. So that's an interesting component. We'll leave it at a later stage to talk a bit more. But as we mentioned before, our UK organization, Scots Hunt, is an organization, in fact, that came on board well before ScotsGrad took its own turn. But what it does is it facilitates students with projects. It facilitates universities in UK to collaborate with Indian colleges. It does a number of things just beyond just the education component in terms of student movement, but we're also talking about the collaborative movement. So we have indeed given projects to students who are in the UK, and we don't confine it to Indian students. We leave it open, and it all depends on whether they want to have a project which is out of an Indian company, then we certainly source that and provide it. But of course, this works around with a dialogue. So a student has to be connected to us from the beginning to say what they're really looking for in order to make this successful in terms of a project from our end, right? So that's exactly what we do. And of course, with post-study work visa next year, our support mechanism, of course, goes now extension of not just arriving in the UK, but also for the support of the continuation of your visa, because everything is going to be new from the middle of next year. There has to be a transition that needs to be made. So that's going to happen, and our support is going to be there. So we are pretty much there till the time you graduate all throughout. So that's, I think, what I wanted to present at my end, Kabir, and maybe you might want to just add on.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. And as Nidhi spoke, ScotsGrad is known for mentored academic progression, and we got excellent mentors, around 25 to 30 mentors across different disciplines. Sajid is a well-known automobile consultant. Is very respected motorsport engineering consultant in India, and he's one of the ScotsGrad mentor. We got Salil here, and he was joined this discussion. He's a mechanical engineer and has worked for a US company and is also studied in UK. And Salil is an entrepreneur, and Salil is a very passionate, hardcore manufacturing engineer. And we got Adrian, who works for a Big Four consulting firm. He's a mechanical engineer. He did his specialization in renewable energy at Strathclyde, and he also worked in different consulting engagements, few sponsored from World Bank, all very reputed consultants in India, working as ScotsGrad mentors. And you, all the students who are interested to pursue higher studies in UK, you will be tagged to these mentors based on the area of interest. And I work for Cognizant for 10 years, and I will be a mentor for anything related to computer science or analytics or cybersecurity. This is the founding team, and you heard Richard speak in the beginning, and we got Nidhi as well, and myself, and the all the mentors and the founders are passionate about UK education. So while choosing in university, we always focus on the right ecosystem and also the department standings, because that plays a crucial role in becoming successful in UK. Salil, I mean, thanks for joining.
Hi,
And
good evening.
so, what are your inputs? I mean, with regard to supply chain management? Okay, I mean, the manufacturing engineers, they are showing a lot of interest in mechanical
Yeah,
engineers.
see, what as a student or alumnus of Strathclyde Business School, as well as a mechanical engineer who has graduated 10 years ago and then went for MBA, I would advise student just not go for any job, particularly just not go for any degree. Just as Richard has rightly pointed out, you have to go to change your thought process. The way you think is going to decide your success in your future life. So whenever whichever course you are suggesting or you are taking, go for overhaul of your entire mental system as well as your decision making process. So if as far as mechanical engineering and supply chain management is concerned, there are plenty of courses available for mechanical engineers, from advanced manufacturing to robotics, electronics, mechatronics, as well as they can also see courses in product design criteria, materials engineering segment. So plenty of opportunities are available in the education field. It is up to the student who has to decide how he is going to steer his career in next life. Again, supply chain management is upcoming field in India. Especially India is lacking in the smart supply chain system handling. There are many inventory related issues in the industry is facing, as well as there are many innovations are yet to be implemented. So there is a huge demand of supply chains professions, as well as data analytics professionals for this supply chain. So I would advise students to thoroughly introspect their interest basis based on not just future and what someone tells. Just follow your instinct, deep down, dig deeper in your mental conditioning and the preferences, what kind of personality you are, then only choose a course rather than just simply someone advising and you selecting a course.
Yeah, perfectly right, Salil.
Yeah.
And when renewable energy is also one sector that many of the hardcore engineers are interested to pursue, and it has got huge scope. And I mean, many of the advanced economies like US and other Western countries are moving towards um, green energy.
I will just add to your point that, see, the next growth of entire world economy is going to be driven by Africa, and Africa lacks in right from infrastructure to renewable everything. So when last 20 years was driven by Asian growth, so next 30 years will be driven by African growth story. So students should be prepared for working anywhere in the world in all multicultural and multi-dimensional setups rather than sticking to one culture and not being open to other culture. So I think the foreign education is the best platform to get this diversification and get the skill to interdisciplinary skill and working with cross-country, cross-cultural environment.
True. Thank you. And yeah, as Salil pointed out, I mean, ScotsGrad will help you to identify your skills, I mean, your strength, your comfort zone, and make you understand the program objectives I mean, and also the market opportunities that exist in UK. So we help you to find a lineage between your skills and the objectives of the programs offered by UK universities and the market opportunities. I mean, so Nidhi also spoke about Lumina. I mean, it's a UK-based product, and it helps you to identify a personal characteristics and work on it to become a better person and also become a professionally successful individual in UK. As UK has introduced a post-study work permit, so UK is on par with other countries like Ireland, Australia, US, and Canada. So students can stay for 2 years and continue to remain in UK as long as they have got a valid job offer. There is no cap unlike US. When we spoke about US initially, when we look at US, there are only 20,000 visas that are available in US for STEM graduates, and it's based on lottery. Well, UK doesn't have that kind of system. There is no cap, so it's an advantage UK as far as engineers are concerned, especially engineers who wanted to pursue a career in automobile, mechatronics, design, robotics, and renewable energy. So these are some of the courses. We've just picked up 2 or 3 universities just to give you an overview about different programs that are offered by some leading universities in UK. And you can just have a look at it. So we got some new programs introduced in UK called FinTech, and many engineers are interested towards finance, stock market. You can take up programs like investment analysis, and yeah, so marketing analytics is also one area where you need a blend of both marketing skills as well as analytics skills. So there are a lot of opportunities. I mean, we always recommend students not to pursue generic programs. Those programs won't be very helpful because corporates are not ready to invest in fresh resources and train them and make them deployable in the projects. So they want resources to be an expert. So it's always better to start a career as a specialist and then move towards a generalist.
If I might just sort of add here also, Kadir, I think this is the number of courses and the streams that are available is also one of the reasons why the dialogue is extremely very important, because you know, the rushing into an application gets into a total confusion, and that's the reason to absolutely have a dialogue with the counselor. It's very, very critical.
True. So we've come to the end of the presentation, and let's move to the Q&A. And students can post your questions in Q&A section, and we'll be happy to answer all your queries.
We still have Richard on with us for another couple of minutes, and if there's any question, you can just post it on the Q&A section, and we can have a tab on that if that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, so I'll just give some more inputs from a computer science engineering perspective. So what are the options that exist for computer science engineers as far as UK is concerned? I mean, you got big courses on big data, data science, AI, and fintech, and yeah, I mean, data engineering. So if you look at the syllabus, right, I mean, you got business analytics as well. So you got 3 or 4 universities offering the same program called business analytics, the same title. But when you when you deep dive into the syllabus, the program is completely different. Some programs are suitable for mathematics or statistics graduates. Some are suitable for students who come from a BBA or BCom background, and they can also pursue analytics. So we need to do a lot of analysis on a skill I mean, understand which course you fit in, and that's how we help you to choose the right university and the course. And we're able to do that because we have studied there. We all have consulting experience in corporate world, so we're able to share our experience, do's and don'ts, and help you to prevent committing some common mistakes while choosing the course, because pursuing higher studies is a huge investment. So you need to be very cautious in choosing the right university and the right course. So Salil, I think we are, still expecting questions. Salil, so what are your inputs for engineers who come from mechanical engineering or automobile background? So, so there are courses like design engineering, mechatronics. So, so can you throw some more light on these courses, Salil?
So, like in the meantime, I want to share my experience with the UK. I'm Prabhakar here.
Yes, sir.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir. Perfectly audible.
Yes, sir. Yeah, fine, sir. Yeah. Since actually I have a weak signal, I am unable to switch on my video. Pardon me. Yeah, and actually we had a tie-up with the DST UK project. I think everyone should be knowing it. And we got the DST UK project in the year 2014, and we have linked with the Tughril Arslan of Edinburgh University in Scotland. And this project was actually worth of 40 lakhs and was for 3 years. And during the interaction, we had plenty of emails, right? Actually, in the initial stage, we have to develop our own research area. They have to develop their own research area, and there should be some combination where these two research areas can be connected together. And what is the role in our role and their role? Everything we need to define. And we have served more than 100 of mails, right, in between us. And for each and every mail transaction, we found the Edinburgh University that processed Aslan was very helpful in giving the mail in time, and he was very cordial because their level of research is totally different when we compare to our level of research. And he was very patient in explaining all the fundamentals. He explained all these details, and most of the time he will be responding in time, especially whenever we write a mail the next morning or the next night, I'll be getting the reply from them. And during the 3-year period, actually, I was about to visit that University of Edinburgh in 2016, but because of a medical issue, I had to get operated, so I couldn't visit. But 2 of my colleagues actually visited there, the University of Edinburgh, and stayed there for 2 years. Actually, it was a research project on design of NOC, right? The network on chip circuits. And I was the co-PA in that project, actually. And during that visit, they were treated with the extreme good hospitality, and they were cordially invited to them, and they stayed there, and they found the climate and everything was very good. And they found everything extreme, and we could get some useful and academic good results, research results, because of this 3-year project. The project was actually extended for 1 more year, and we could complete it only in the year 2018. But we had a totally beautiful experience in connection with your that UK people, especially Professor Tughril Arslan. Actually, he has some relationship with the NASA and plenty of papers and researchers. But he was very patient in explaining all those things. He came up to our level explaining the basics, and he took classes for our students in my old college. So the interactions were very much useful. I think this is the right time for sharing the level of kindness, right, the UK was providing to our students. Right, I think that should be okay.
Thank you, sir. I mean,
indeed. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Many of the universities based in Scotland is known for research, and there is one interesting statistic. The population of Scotland is 0.1%, but they contribute 1% of world's research. So many of best innovations has happened in Scotland. And yeah, so there are many good universities like Glasgow, Strathclyde, Dundee, Edinburgh, Aberdeen. And in fact, Aberdeen is 600-year-old university, Anidhi.
Yes, I think so. 1600s, so 1400s, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Well, many of them are, of course, quite old indeed. Lovely. Do we have any other questions? It doesn't look like we've got any questions. Either we answered all queries that sat on people's mind, or we probably confused them. Hopefully it's not the second. Richard, is there anything else that you would like to say in terms of any concluding remarks from your end since we started with you?
Not really. I'd just like to say how wonderful it is to hear Dr. Pravaka's story of that kindness and that hospitality. I think that is something that you can really count on. There is this perception that British people, in a way, are very standoffish. My experience is if you engage with people, they are incredibly hospitable. And it's nice to hear the proof of that. So I encourage, and I share with Salil this idea that, you know, the future is about diversity, it is about cultural inclusion, and really stepping into another education system is one of the best ways to acquire those skills. So I really encourage people to think hard about this option. It seems to me to be a really good way to enter a career future that is open to the global economy. And that's what I'll end on.
Brilliant. Thank you so much then, Richard. So do we then make it as a formal closure then, Kadir? Are we done with?
Yeah, I think we're fine with it, and we can move towards closure.
Brilliant.
So it's thank you, Richard. Thank you.
You would like to
It's
thank?
a wonderful.
You're on mute, Richard. You're on mute.
I'm saying thank you for the organization. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard.
Brilliant. Thank you,
Take
everyone.
care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, panelists. Thanks to the students for being around. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
Okay, sir.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Yeah.
Right there. So thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, I should thank all the team from ScotsGrad, right side. Mr. Niti Katharavan and Salil, and especially Richard Kemp, right? So we thank you all for sharing your ideas with us. Thank you very much.
Lovely, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Nairam, for giving an opportunity to host this event. Looking forward to work with you closely on other initiatives as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prabhakar sir. And
Yeah.
thank you for having a wonderful experience working with Edinburgh University.
Yeah.
So our sister concern, ScotsGrad, is helping institutions in India to create collaborations with UK universities. Would love to have a conversation with you. Yeah, on the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kadir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Right then, take care.
It's a
Bye-bye.
wonderful panel discussion. It's a wonderful panel discussion with you people. So we will continue this, and we will enhance our students' knowledge also, so that our students can get more benefited from your end also. So in this occasion, I have to thank Dr. Shivashakti Balan, who has introduced Kadir to me. And I take this privilege to thank the panelists, Richard, Nitin, Kadir. And meanwhile, I will thank our management for providing such an opportunity to interact with these people. So it's a very wonderful session with you guys. So shortly we will join with a few more webinars, which will be useful for the present students also, who's going to be in the present final year and pre-final year students. So I express my deep sense of gratitude to the panel members, and special thanks to Richard, Nitin, and Kadir. Thank you, Anandal. Thank you.
Balan sir. Thanks everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.